前言 Foreword. What was the past for human being? What will be the limit point for mankind in the future? Will the intelligence of human be able to stop the asteroid's impact on Earth? If these questions cannot be answered, then we should turn ourselves to the greatest creator. Chapter 25 of Tao Te Ching begins with, "There was something formless yet complete. It existed before heaven and earth." The Bible makes its purpose clear from the very beginning. In the beginning the God created the heaven and the earth. Here God means the greatest creator. The Diamond Sutra says, "If one desires to see me via colors and seek me through sound, he is pursuing an evil course and cannot acquire enlightenment from Buddha, the greatest creator." Book of Odes Decade of One Great Brightness says, "This King One, watchfully and reverently, with entire intelligence served the greatest creator, and so secured the great blessing." In Chapter 8, The Origin and Fate of the Universe of his book A Brief History of Time, the great scientist Stephen Hawking says, "The general theory of relativity on its own cannot explain these features or answer these questions because of its prediction that the universe started off with infinite density at the Big Bang singularity. At the singularity, general relativity and all other physical laws would break down. Science seems to have uncovered a set of laws that, within the limits set by the uncertainty principle, tell us how the universe will develop with time, if we know its state at any one time. These laws may have originally been decreed by God. Note, God is the same as the greatest creator. One possible answer is to say that the greatest creator chose the initial configuration of the universe for reasons that we cannot hope to understand. This would certainly have been within the power of an omnipotent being. It would be very difficult to explain why the universe should have begun in just this way, except as the act of the greatest creator who intended to create beings like us. Man has 6 sensory organs of eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and consciousness, which correspond to 6 perceptions of vision, hearing, olfaction, taste, touch, and telegnosis. Man communes with the material world and the non-material world via these 6 perceptions. If a person is blind and has no vision, then how can we convince him that there is light in the universe? How can we prove the existence of light? No, we cannot, for one is unable to perceive light without vision. If a person is deaf and has no hearing, then how can we convince him that there is sound in nature? How can we prove the existence of sound? No, we cannot, for one is unable to perceive sound without hearing. If a person is ignorant and has no telegnosis, then how can we convince him that the greatest creator is in the universe? How can we prove the existence of the greatest creator? We still cannot do that, for one is unable to perceive the greatest creator without telegnosis. Telegnosis is an innate instinct. With telegnosis we can perceive the existence of the greatest creator. Everyone has telegnosis, but why we are unable to perceive the existence of the greatest creator? This is because the telegnosis is blocked and blunted in the same way as one suffering from falling of eyesight cannot discern the view in front of his eyes. If one's eyesight has dropped, one pair of glasses will enable him or her to see clearly. If one's telegnosis is blunted, he will be able to perceive the existence of the greatest creator by improving his wisdom. Someone wants to deny the existence of the greatest creator with a case of antinomy. Can the greatest creator create a rock that he cannot lift? This question puts us in a dilemma. If we say no, we have completely denied the greatest creator. If we say yes, it proves that the greatest creator cannot lift the rock he has created. The existence of the greatest creator is also negated by the statement that he cannot lift a rock. Whatever the answer is, the result is the negation of the greatest creator, or at least the negation of the omnipotence of the greatest creator. The man who creates this antinomy is very smart in that his minor question has perplexed the spiritual nature of many people, making them stay far away from the greatest creator and wisdom. This person is either Satan or someone disfavored by the greatest creator. He cannot taste the grapes, so he would try his best to prove that the grapes are sour and prevent others from eating the grapes. Can the greatest creator create a rock that he cannot lift? This question is a trap. The similar question may be, are you a thing? How would you answer this question? No matter the answer is yes or no, you will fall into the trap of the designer. It does not make any difference whether to say, I am not a thing, or I am a thing. Thus, we cannot present positive or negative answers directly to any antinomies. Instead, we should consider from the question itself or lodge a rhetorical question. For example, the rhetorical question for "Are you a thing?" is to aim the question "Are you a thing?" directly at the person who asks this question. Let's see how he will answer this question himself. The rhetorical question for "Can the greatest creator create a rock that he cannot lift?" is "Can the greatest creator not lift a rock that he has created?" The question "Can the greatest creator create a rock that he cannot lift?" is not tenable to the greatest creator himself. In the same way, the question "Are you a thing?" is not tenable to the man himself. In addition, this question itself is a double negation. Namely, whatever the answer is, the question itself has secured the negation. Many philosophers and logicians have been puzzled by such questions. Here are some more paradoxes. Let's see how you should answer. Are you not an animal born by your parents? Can eyes not see eyes? Is a man not a non-animal? Such questions cannot be answered directly but with the changes of some conditions. The greatest creator-related question can be answered. The greatest creator can create rocks under any condition. The greatest creator can lift rocks under any condition. Any more questions? The questions can be done in this way if we keep on. I will begin by asking, what is lifting? Does lifting mean holding the rock in both hands and raising it over the head? If the answer is no, what is lifting? If the answer is yes, suppose this rock is the earth and I stand upside down with both hands touching the earth, I ascend the earth over my head? You may reject the interpretation, for the earth is not over my head but under my head. Okay, what if I repeat the same action and move along the longitudes in 360 degrees, then should there be a point on the earth over my head? If not, which point of the universe is over us? And which point is under us? At this point, you may argue, although I am holding the earth with both hands and although the earth is over my head, I am not holding the earth, rather it is the gravity from the earth that draws me. If this is the case, we should negate the meaning of lifting as we have first proposed. That is, holding the rock in both hands and raising it over the head cannot be regarded as lifting. Then what is lifting? No matter how you define the meaning of lifting, I can say I lift the earth as long as I change the direction. And if you say I lift the earth, I can prove that I am not lifting the earth. So the question, can the greatest creator create a rock that he cannot lift, is tenable or not? We should pursue the greatest creator and get to know the greatest creator. Otherwise, we will not be able to understand the origin of the universe and the origin of life, or the past and future of human being. We cannot even understand the instincts of animals and the purpose of life. I am 46 years old now. I have engaged in a wide variety of occupations: shepherd, peasant, migrant worker, secretary of Youth League branch, clerk, secretary of CPC branch, political instructor of art and cultural propaganda team of People's Commune, bench worker, electrician, automobile mechanic, middle school teacher, office clerk, office manager, interpreter, driver, salesman, grocery store manager, restaurant buyer, bartender, nightclub manager, manager of fast food department, property developer, and so on. The duration of my jobs all lasted for more than half a year with the exception of office manager and restaurant buyer, on which I stayed only for 2 months. What have I gained from working on so many jobs? What I have learned is, without a belief and an aim, life is just like the floating clouds drifting in the sky with wind. An inexplicit traffic accident I personally experienced several years ago has prompted me to explore the meaning of life. What on earth do I live for? For the sake of my country? Nonsense. I have problems even making a living for myself. How am I supposed to do anything for my country? Do I live for my parents? Absolutely not, otherwise why should I survive after their death? For my wife? Unlikely. She may enjoy a better life without me being around. Do I live for my children? Not necessarily. How can those childless parents carry on life then? After the children grow up and have families of their own, what do I live for? I can no longer provide them with any help. On the contrary, I may prove troubles and burdens for them. Do I live for myself? How absurd it is. I can neither decide my birth nor my death. If there is an option, I would rather choose not to be born and not to be a being at all. Then who brought me to this world? Is it because of the accidental union of my parents that I came into being? Definitely not. The universe is governed by laws. Everything has its causes and effects. Nothing exists purposelessly and accidentally. Everything exists for a particular purpose. Then what is the purpose of my existence? This obscure and confused way of living is beyond my endurance. I would rather die than to live without a clear understanding of myself and the world around. If I have no idea where I came from, then I should at least know where I am heading. Otherwise, it would be a great pity if someday I suddenly get killed in a traffic accident. Can I live a life with understanding if I am wealthy? It seems that there is no single millionaire in the world who has solved the problem of the purpose of living. By the time you have a lot of money, perhaps you don't have much energy and time left. You may have died before you know why you have lived. Besides, money does not come the way as you wish. Otherwise, anyone can be a billionaire. Having power will make one understand the meanings of life? I doubt. There have been many emperors and kings appeared on the stage of human history. Did they really understand the purpose of life? Was there any one of them left us with book on life? How about being a scientist? Great as Newton, Einstein, and Stephen Hawking are, they still wondered the origin of the universe, the origin of human being, and the origin of life. Would I be any better than them if I become a scientist? Moreover, just as I cannot become a singer because I am not born with the gift of a singer, I cannot be a scientist either. To be a scientist for me is something beyond my wildest dream. Will it be possible for me to understand the meaning of life if I seek to become some kind of expert? I am afraid not. Let's take archaeologists and anthropologists for example. One day they would say that mankind originated from Europe, another day that mankind originated from Asia, still another day they would claim that mankind's ancestor lived in Africa. To affirm the place of origin of mankind simply by a few pieces of fossils is far from reliable. It is likely to say that we would be originated from the Antarctica if some more human fossils are excavated from somewhere someday. How about reading the Bible? Can it be a way to understand the meanings of life? Maybe I was born foolish. I have read the Bible for years, yet I have not been enlightened so far. Where is the kingdom of the greatest creator? It has been there already, or it will emerge in the future. Where would it be if it will emerge in the future? By future, do we mean a millennium, 10 millennia, or 100 million years? My life only spans scores of years. Is there such a thing as the resurrection of flesh and body? How can resurrection be realized? There is no doubt that Jesus is a God. The problem is whether there are any other gods that above Jesus. Why would Jesus undergo suffering if he is free from the control of other gods? Why almost all his disciples died an unnatural death? Is it possible for a God to lose control of his own fate? As a God, why couldn't he protect even his own disciples? Why should they suffer for the blessing of otherworldly life? So I rely on Buddhism to guide me. Buddhism preaches the previous life and the eternity, lifetime after lifetime, retributive justice, and karma. This makes sense. But how on earth does karma transform? How should a person behave to acquire eternity? Where is the Pure Land? And what does it look like? I have only read a few of the great many Buddhist sutras, so it is not for me to jump to a hasty conclusion. Since Buddhism has existed for more than 2,000 years, it should be able to interpret the meaning of life, but it failed as well. If life is but a process of suffering, why does the greatest creator create so many wonderful things for people to enjoy? If the purpose of life is to attain Buddhahood, then what is Buddhahood? How can we attain Buddhahood? What is the probability of attaining Buddhahood? If only 2 to 3 out of the 1,000 people who practice Buddhism succeed, then the rest would feel quite unwillingly to sacrifice the worldly pleasure. Money, power and status, and scientists and other experts, Christianity and Buddhism. Each may have its own arguments, but none of them can explain clearly the meaning of life. And for us mortals, we even have a hard time scraping up for daily existence. How can we have time to pore over the learning of sociology, natural science, and religion? Is there a shortcut? Is it possible for us to seek the greatest creator directly, bypassing gods, Buddha, and the knowledge accumulated by mankind? Because only the greatest creator knows all, and only the greatest creator has the ultimate power of decision? Where can we find the greatest creator? Read wordless book. Read heaven, read world, read people, read things. Luckily, I have undertaken more than 20 different jobs and have experienced many hardships of life. In addition, after graduation from senior middle school, I went further study for another 3 times. And I have stayed in the countryside, in small towns and big cities. As a result, I can string up different phenomena and events for chain reflection. Nevertheless, I am still confused. So what could be the obstacle? I was greatly enlightened when I incidentally browsed the Quran, which says, "The masses of deities and mankind, don't hesitate to escape from domain of heaven and earth if you can. But it would not be possible for you to escape without the help of authority." Yes, how can I escape from the domain of heaven and earth without the power and help of authority, the greatest creator? How can I get the support of the greatest creator? By telegnosis, man is a part of the universe. Man can correspond with universe. The brain can immediately sense the sting on the toe. So if I send a fax of thought to the greatest creator, he will surely know my appeal. Indeed, the picture of the birth of the universe, the origin of life, the origin of mankind, and the 36-dimension space began to appear in my mind. The subject of fate is thus revealed naturally. Only at this time did I learn the greatest creator, Jesus, Sakyamuni, Lao Tzu, as well as mankind, universe, time, space, energy and matter, body and soul, the nature of life and the meaning of life. I came to know God by telegnosis, which could only be sensed nor told. In order to facilitate the understanding and induce even greater enlightenment, I have cited 40 natural phenomena and 8 logical reasoning to prove the existence of the greatest creator, and to illustrate the 8 characteristics of the greatest creator, and the 8 major relations between the greatest creator and human being. Whether you can sense the existence of the greatest creator completely relies on your telegnosis and wisdom.
证明上帝存在的8个逻辑推理。
The 8 logical inferences that prove the existence of the greatest creator.
一、万物有源，源头为上帝。
1. Everything has a source, and the source is the greatest creator. The Amazon that runs across South America, the bold and flowing Nile, the surging Yangtze, and the roaring Mississippi, all have their headstreams. Benguela cold current, Peru cold current, Mozambique warm current, and Guyana warm current all have their sources. Rio de Janeiro London Airline, Los Angeles Paris Airline, Honolulu Manila Airline, and Paris Colombo Airline all have their starting points. All things created by man have come into being from a certain source. All tools that we use, including pencils, needles, spades, spoons, pliers, automobiles, computers, printers, cameras, and machine tools, and all daily articles, including musical instruments, chess, painting and calligraphy, watches, alarm clocks, desks, chairs, and wooden stools, shoes, stockings, clothes, caps, cups, thermoses, reading lamps, telephones, and refrigerators and TV sets have an origin, and obviously they don't come from none. The cats, dogs, goats, and pigs we raise at home all have an origin. Even peony, peaches, pears, and almonds can be traced back to their origins. Music, characters, arts, medicines, theories, methods, magic arts and alchemy, axioms and theorems all have a source. White Europeans, black African, yellow Asian, Arabians, and Brazilians are all descendants of their ancestors. The towering Himalayas, the fertile and vast Nile Delta, the extensive Amazon alluvial plain, the silver and white-wrapped Antarctica, all have formed from Earth transition. Everything has its origin. What about the Earth, the solar system, and the universe? They all have their origins. Since everything has an origin, there must be a primordial origin. And this primordial origin is the greatest creator.
二万物在动，出动力来自上帝。
2. Everything is in motion, and the primordial motive power comes from the greatest creator. The mountains are revolving, the wind is roaring, the river is flowing and the springs are welling, the clouds are drifting, the earth is shaking, the ocean is surging and the flames are raging. The plants are growing and the flowers are fading, the bacteria are multiplying and the insects are bustling, cattle and goats are grazing and the lions and tigers are running, the hens are laying eggs and the larks are singing. The electrons are spinning and the molecules are moving, the particles are discharging and electric waves are rushing, infrareds are radiating and gamma rays are thrusting, electromagnetic waves and photons are flashing. The heart is pounding and the blood is circulating, the skin is breathing and the stomach is wriggling, the nerves are sensing and the hair is growing, the thinking is connecting and the mind is thinking. Sitting on the earth, we are traveling hundreds of thousands of miles every day. In an instant, tens of thousands of years have flit past. The sun, the moon, the stars, and the lightning are all speeding fast by. In the morning your hair is still black, but by the dusk it has turned gray. Everything is moving, and moving comes from pushing and pulling. Where does the primordial motive power come from? How is moving possible without the greatest creator?
三万物有相，相的本质是能量，能量的核心是上帝。
3. Everything has an image, the nature of the image is energy, and the core of the energy is the greatest creator. Image is picture. It refers to the size, shape, feature, and structure of an object. Image is the dividing line to distinguish one substance from another, and to distinguish one object from another. That microorganisms and insects, grass and trees, man and other animals, mountains and rivers are different from each other is because they each have different images. Everything has a unique image different from each other. Then how has image come into being? The substrate of image is gene structure. The gene structure determines the image. That water and oil has different images is due to different molecule structures, namely different gene structures. However, any structure would only be a phantom without the participation of energy. Take for example the building of a house. We should first conceive the structure of this house in our mind. For very complicated houses, structural representation may also be needed. However, without the input of mechanical and human energy, the house will always remain a phantom. Only with the investment of human and material energy will the structure conceived in our mind materialize into the real house. A seed will turn into a plant only after it has absorbed the nutrients, moisture, and the heat energy and light energy of the sun. The fertilized egg in the womb of a mother will develop into a normal animal only after it has been continuously supplied with nutrition and energy. A bulb will give off light only after it has been input electric energy. A mound will become a high mountain only after it has received the energy of a continuously revolving earth. A small river will become a great surging, impetuous river only after it has marshaled the energy of thousands of streams. Then where does the energy come from? Let's trace the sources. A sapling must obtain moisture to unfurl its leaves and grow. The moisture absorbed by the root system mainly comes from the saturation of rainwater. Where does rainwater come from? It comes from the vapor-carried clouds in the sky. Where does cloud come from? The cloud comes from the ocean carried by the wind. Where does wind come from? Wind is formed because of the convection of the cold and warm currents on Earth. How are warm and cold currents formed? They are formed by the continuous heat loss and heat acquisition of the Earth's surface when the Earth rotates, not considering such factors as the gravitation of the moon. Then how does the Earth begin rotation? What power has caused it to rotate continuously? According to the law of the conservation of energy, there could be no perpetual motion machines in the universe. The motion and change of any object should be propelled by another or more energy. Without energy, there would be no changes and motions of things. Then the motion and changes of everything must in the final analysis be propelled by a primordial energy not controlled by other energies, and this primordial power is the greatest creator. The rotation of the Earth is propelled by the energy of the greatest creator, and after the Earth is in motion it will be driven by the other planets in the solar system, including comets.
四因果相连，凡果都有因，所有因的出因是上帝。
4. Cause and effect are interconnected, every effect has its cause, and the greatest creator is the primordial cause of all causes. We have all experienced headaches. Everyone may have a different cause for headache, but every headache has a cause, and there could be no headache without a reason. Everyone becomes sick because of some causes, no matter what kind of disease he has contracted. There are also causes for congenital diseases. No one, I think, will disagree in this matter. In the same way, typhoon, tornadoes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, sandstorms, and SARS virus all have their causes for occurrence. World War II, the Crusades, and wars in the Middle East all have their causes. They would not take place without any causes. The massacre of the Jewish people in World War II, the collision of Titanic with icebergs, the attack against America's World Trade Center, the disintegration of Soviet Union, the return of Hong Kong to China, and the overthrow of Saddam regime, all these have happened with their own causes. Aren't there causes for the Earth orbiting around the Sun and the Moon orbiting around the Earth? Aren't there causes for airplane crash, train collision, collapse of houses, and flooding of rivers? Aren't there causes for being the object of vituperation, for broken family, for imprisonment and decapitation, and for unnatural death? Aren't there causes for tumefaction on the head and purulence on the feet, deafness and blindness and disability? Aren't there causes for tigers and leopards capturing of deer, for birds catching of insects, for the slaughtering of pigs, and for man's sudden misfortunes? Aren't there causes for the decline of the early Maya civilization, Greek civilization, Egyptian civilization, ancient Roman civilization, Syrian civilization, Persian civilization, and Babylonian civilization? Aren't there causes for the rise of American civilization? The following phenomena I listed in the chapter of Inevitability of Life Chanyuan all have their causes. The rise of wind and waves, the ebb and flow, the rising of clouds and falling of rain, the snow and mist, thunder and lightning, tsunami, typhoon, volcanic eruption, earthquake and fault, flooding, sandstorm, disappearance of birds, morning and evening glows, rainbows, solar and lunar eclipses, seasonal changes, migration of birds, hibernation of frogs and snakes, morning songs of larks, roosters crowing, plague of insects, multiplication of bacteria, the birth in the spring and growth in the summer, the collection in autumn and storage in winter, the entwining of vines, the fragrance of osmanthus, the blooming and withering of flowers, the sun-facing feature of sunflowers, the continental drift, the disintegration of Earth's crust, the melting of snow, the disappearance of islands, the river's change of course, the landslide, the rise of peaks, the weathering of rocks, the ravines, the movement of sand dunes, the spring between the rocks, the waterfalls, the river's transport of sand, the appearance of delta, and so on. All phenomena or results, whether in the sky or under the sun, have their causes. We can never find a phenomenon or result that does not have a cause. If life forms on Earth owe their existence to the Earth and the solar system, and solar system owes its existence to the Milky Way galaxy, then what is the reason for the birth of the Milky Way galaxy? If we track further, we will understand that at the beginning of the birth of the universe, there must be a primordial cause, the cause, the greatest creator.
五万物存在都有目的，终极的目的是上帝。
5. Everything has a purpose for its existence, and the ultimate purpose is the greatest creator. The purpose of microorganism is to enrich soil and corrode objects. The purpose of the soil is to nurture plants. The purpose of plants is to provide food for insects and other animals. And the overall purpose of animals and plants is to serve mankind. Then what is the purpose of mankind? Everything that man makes has a purpose. Automobiles provide transportation. Telephones provide communications. Clothes keep us from cold. Houses offer space for sheltering, and man has created tens of thousands of articles to serve mankind. Then what is the purpose of man? The purpose of the entire Milky Way galaxy is to serve several special stellar systems, one of them being the solar system. The purpose of the solar system is to provide service for the Earth, and the Earth has only one purpose: to serve mankind. Then whom does mankind serve? The sun, the moon, the oceans, the air, the land, and the ozonosphere have all existed to serve mankind. Even the ultimate purpose of the existence of flies, mosquitoes, and rats is to serve mankind. The killing viruses are also for the purpose of maintaining the balance of mankind. Then what is the purpose of mankind? Everything in the material world is for the purpose of serving mankind. Then are we perfectly justified to enjoy all this as a supreme being? Is there no purpose for our existence? Don't we humans have a purpose in keeping cattle, horses, pigs, goats, chickens, and ducks? Don't we have a purpose in planting crops? Don't we have any purpose in making planes, atomic bombs, and aircrafts? All man's activities have definite purposes, and everything in the universe has its purpose for existence. Is man the only animal that does not have a purpose? Man's existence also has a purpose: to serve the greatest creator. Why cannot we realize that our existence is to serve the greatest creator? This is just like the bees that we raise fail to realize that they are serving us, unless they have the thinking of man. We won't know the purpose of man's existence unless we have the thinking of the greatest creator. In the history of man, only Jesus and Sakyamuni knew the greatest creator. Muhammad and Lao Tzu knew a little about the greatest creator. I will tell you clearly that the purpose of man's existence is to serve the greatest creator. The ultimate purpose of all existences in the universe is for the greatest creator. After knowing the ultimate purpose of man's existence, our life will have a purpose: to serve the greatest creator. Exist for the greatest creator and we will have a promising future. Deviate from the greatest creator and our future will be a total darkness.
6. 生命有等级，最高级就是上帝。
6. Life is graded, and the highest grade is the greatest creator. The universe exists for order, and the nature of order is grade. Take stone for example. Diamond has a very high grade, and the stone that can be broken off with hands is lowly graded. Ruby and saffron are higher than opal. Opal is higher than topaz and spinel. Topaz and spinel are higher than aquamarine and zircon. The other stones in order of descending grades include emerald, beryl, tourmaline, crystal, garnet, olivine, jade, woodstone, nephrite, opal, moonstone, sunstone, agaphite, serpentine jade, malachite, coral, tubastone, granite, bluestone, and ordinary pebbles. Take man for example. Man can be ranked in 18 gradients according to the percentage content of spiritual nature and human nature. Jesus, Muhammad, Sakyamuni, and Lao Tzu ranked the first. St. Peter and St. Paul and Tang Monk were classed as the second. China's Taoist master Zhang Sanfeng ranked the third. Beethoven, Bach, Rodin, Strauss, and Einstein came in the fourth place. Zhang Zia, Zhang Liang, and Zhuge Liang were in the fifth order. The rustic farmers with unsophisticated folkway and unpolluted by commercial society came sixth. Washington and Lincoln came in the seventh order. Nightingale ranked the eighth. Shakespeare, Lu Xun, and Hu Shi were in the ninth place. Emperors Tang Taizong and Kong Shi in the 10th place. Characters in novels like Liang Shanbua, Zhu Ying Tai. Romeo and Juliet were in the 11th place. The majority of common people fell into category 12. The majority of officials in China at various government levels since ancient times stood in slot number 13. Grandet, Shylock, and mercenary merchants were in the 14th category. Cynic people and hedonists belonged to category 15. Selfish people without social morality came 16th in the list. People living a muddle-headed existence were in the 17th place. Those confusing right and wrong came last. Take life for example. In the ascending order, life can be categorized as life in lava and raging fire, life in ice-clad world, life in eternal darkness, life in rocks, life in soil, life in water, Life in the air, plants, insects, terrestrial animals, flying animals, domesticated animals, dogs, man in human world, man in the 1,000-year world, celestial being in the 10,000-year world, Buddha in the Elysium world, God in heaven, the greatest creator in the zero world. Life is graded. There must be the highest grade among all. The highest grade of life is the greatest creator.
七万物有序，秩序的制定者是上帝。
7. There is an order in everything, and the greatest creator is the framer of orders. Human society is ordered. A country has only one president, and this means order. With two presidents, the country is bound to break up into two states. The company formed by incorporation of 10 companies needs only one general manager, not 10. Order means that the lower level should be subordinate to the higher level, the employees should be subordinate to the employer, the criminals should be controlled by the police, and that license is needed for running the business. Constitution and laws are made by man, but this does not mean that order is made by man. When man formulates order, the order should conform to the macro order of human nature and basic social norms. For example, however intelligent and wise the people are, they cannot formulate an order with two presidents in the country, because the system of a group with one leader is the order created by the greatest creator, and man cannot deviate from this order. A swarm of ants, a brood of bees, a flock of goats, a pack of wolves, a family, and a clan can have only one head. The order of fetus, infancy, juvenile, youth, the prime of life, old age and death is made by the greatest creator, and man cannot deviate from it. One must eat when hungry and must excrete after eating, and this is an order uncontrollable by man. Everyone has his path of life, namely lifestyle program, which cannot to be affected by man's will. All parents hope that their children will stand out brilliantly and bring glory to their ancestry. However, hopes are mere hopes. Children can only live according to their own lifestyle program. This is why some children have achieved a lot, but some other children are not very successful. If one's will can determine one's own path of life, pigs and dogs would change into man and everyone could become an emperor. The majority of people, especially the powerful and wealthy people, wish to live forever. But wish is just a wish, death is unavoidable, because this is the order made by the greatest creator. If the former generations continue to live, the later generations would have no chance of survival. Men are equal in terms of death, and this is the order. The moon revolves around the earth moves around the sun and rotates, the solar system revolves around the Milky Way galaxy, this is the order. Dragons beget dragons and phoenixes beget phoenixes, while the mice's children will learn the skill of hole digging, this is the order. All those who hold the greatest creator in awe and live according the order made by him can enter the higher order of life space, while those who despise the greatest creator and violate the order made by him would certainly descend to the lower order of life space. This is also the order. Everything has an order. Who has made the order then? Was it made by man's ancestor? Was it made by the emperors of certain dynasty? Was it made by dinosaur? Certainly not. Who but the greatest creator is capable of making orders?
八万物相互感应，感应的终端是上帝。
8. There is telepathy between everything, and the terminal of the telepathy is the greatest creator. Everything in the universe is interconnected. The means of connection is telepathy. Telepathy is the reception of and response of an object to the external stimuli. There are two kinds of external stimuli. One is dominant stimulus and the other is recessive stimulus. Dominant stimuli mainly take place by way of shapes, odors, colors, sound, heat and cold, softness and hardness, and light and shade, etc. Recessive stimuli take place mainly via sound waves, electromagnetic waves, thought waves, biological waves, same frequency waves, and radiation, etc. For example, we will feel pleased to see beautiful birds, blue sky, white clouds, handsome people, and we will feel horrified to see caterpillars, snakes, gathering black clouds, and monsters in terror films. We will feel intoxicated to see sexy girls in miniskirts, and we will feel disgusted to see things we dislike. All these are different telepathies induced by stimuli of forms. We will feel good appetite to smell the aroma wafted from the kitchen. We will feel nausea to smell the stinking odor from the washroom. We will feel refreshed to smell the fragrance of flowers. And we will feel disgusted to smell the vomit of a drunken person. All these are the telepathies to the smell. We will feel happy to see the colorful flowers. We will feel anxious to see the scene of murder with pools of blood. We will feel cool to see blue colors. And we will feel warm to see the color of fire. All these are telepathies to colors. Melodious songs, touching rhythms, and affectionate whispers of the loved one can provoke surging thoughts or emotions, while the friction of shovels on cement ground, funeral music, and malicious shouting will cause palpitation, unrest, and depression. All these are telepathies to sounds. The muscles contract in cold weather, the sweat gland distends in sultriness, we feel comfortable lying on. Simus bed, we feel uncomfortable lying on stony surface. We will be wild with joy in bright spring days. We feel frightened in darkness. All these are different telepathies to warmth, cold, softness, hardness, and darkness and light. The above is a discussion of dominant external stimuli. The telepathies to recessive external stimuli are as follows. Sometimes people will inexplicably feel willies and unrest, and this is telepathy to the thought wave and biological wave of those related to them. From the perspective of supertime and space, some accidents usually emit a same frequency wave to stimulate people's nerves before the occurrence. At this time, man will feel the influence, just like many animals that are sensitive to the geomagnetic waves prior to the earthquake. The fish will keep leaping out of water, the dogs will bark fiercely, horses will neigh, rats will run about, and roosters will coyote. Sometimes our ears and faces will flush, and this is because we are warned of the information related to ourselves, just like the stimulus to the arthritis patients caused by the coming cold current. In Outlaws of the Marsh, the incident in the Snowy Mountain God Temple experienced by Lin Chong, the instructor of the 800,000-strong Imperial Army, seems to be a coincidence, but actually it reflects telepathy to future happenings. Without this telepathy, he would have been buried in the fire. The hero of Robinson Crusoe had the following description. Having thus settled my affairs, sold my cargo, and turned all my effects into good bills of exchange, my next difficulty was which way to go to England. I had been accustomed enough to the sea, and yet I had a strange aversion to go to England by the sea at that time, and yet I could give no reason for it, yet the difficulty increased upon me so much, that though I had once shipped my baggage in order to go, yet I altered my mind, and that not once but 2 or 3 times. It is true I had been very unfortunate by sea, and this might be one of the reasons. But no one would ignore his strong internal impulses in cases of such moments. 2 of the ships which I had singled out to take, I mean more particularly singled out than any other, for one of them I had put my luggage on board, and for the other I had made an agreement with the captain, but I didn't take any of them. It turned out that bad things happened on both ships. One was captured by the Algerines, and the other was hit and sank at Start near Tobe Bay, and all the people drowned except 3. I would be miserable no matter which ship I had taken. As to taking which one would make me more miserable, it is hard to say. This is telepathy to recessive stimuli, without which Robinson would have been buried under sea. Subconscious behavior is an inexplicable behavior of telepathy, which has saved hundreds of millions of lives and at the same time caused tens of thousands of people to step on the road to death. Someone has conducted research on biological telepathy. In the experiment, he divided the 50 snails into 25 pairs. Each pair was separated from the other pairs. After some time, the same letter was written on the shells of each pair of snails, and one of the pair was brought to America, the other still remained in Paris. Later at a given time, the snail staying in Paris was stimulated with electric current. At the same time, the one brought to American also exhibited the same reaction of electric current. The snail in Paris exhibited reaction to electric current reaction because it had been stimulated by electric current. The snail in America was not stimulated by electric current, but why did they also exhibit reaction to the stimulus of electric current? It is because it has a power of telepathy, which is a subconscious behavior. Doves, dogs, and horses have telepathy for the tracks of their masters. After the doves are taken to a different place and are released from hands, they can locate and return to their master's home. Place a dog inside a box and take it to another place hundreds of miles away. It can still return to its original home without mistake. An animal trainer Dudorov can use his thought to cue the animal to perform. One time he mentally ordered his dog, "Go to the piano and knock at the white keys with your paws." It is said that the dog did as he was instructed. Another time, in accordance with request of the audience, he made two lions, who had lived together harmoniously for 3 years, fight with each other. Once a researcher Karen Sky said to the animal trainer, "Since you can use your thought to hint, please cue me to perform an act with your thought." He agreed and made the researcher sit there motionless. Then he took a slip of paper and scribbled something on it. He covered the paper with his hand and looked at the researcher, who had felt nothing special but involuntarily scratched the back of his right ear. Before the researcher had put down his hands, the trainer handed the paper to him, and the researcher saw the letters on the paper, "Scratch the back of your right ear." It can be seen from the above example that the researcher involuntarily scratched the back of his right ear without feeling anything special. This action seems to be the personal behavior of the researcher, but he had faithfully performed the instruction of the trainer. The world-renowned psychic Wolf Messing was once having dinner with the celebrated founder of psychology Freud at Einstein's residence in Vienna. During the meal, Freud secretly conducted an experiment. He did not utter a word, but only mentally gave Messing an instruction, requesting him to go to the bathroom cupboard and pick up some tweezers. Return to Albert Einstein, pull out from his luxuriant mustache 3 hairs. After the silent instruction, Professor Freud continued with his dinner, talking and smiling with the host as usual. Messing seemed to have noticed nothing. But when the coffee was brought to them, Mason immediately stood up, went to the bathroom cupboard and picked up some tweezers, walked near Einstein, bended over him, slightly raised Einstein's obedient chins, and carefully pulled out from his luxuriant mustache 3 hairs and placed them before Freud. There are countless such examples. All the living creatures in the boundless universe are all subconsciously performing one after another instruction. Our next move and next word are seemingly personal behaviors, but actually they are telepathy in reaction to the dominant and recessive external stimuli. Then whose instructions are we following? In accordance with the order of life, the lower order of life has telepathy for the instructions of the higher order of life. The low-energy life has telepathy for the instructions of the high-energy life. Namely, plants receive the instructions of animals, man, celestial being, Buddha, and God. Animals receive the order of man, celestial being, Buddha, and God. Man receives the instructions of celestial being, Buddha, and God. Celestial being receives the instructions of Buddha and God. Buddha receives the instruction of God. Whose instructions does God receive? God receives the instructions of the greatest creator. In the final analysis, the terminal of telepathy is the greatest creator. I am sure you will cast away your suspicion over the existence of the greatest creator after reading the above 40 evidences and 8 logical inferences. Since the greatest creator is there, what characteristics does the greatest creator have?